Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great week so far. Today's video is going to be all about what I packed in my hospital bag / baby's bag when I went in for my labor and delivery. Now I'm hoping that this video is in fact really useful for all you new parents out there, just because when I did my research back when I was prepping for items that I needed to take into the hospital, I noticed that a lot of the moms that had actually released their videos had done so before they actually went in for their labor. But this video is really sort of after the fact. So I've been through that labor and delivery process and want to be able to share with you items that you do in fact actually need at the hospital versus just going in there with a bunch of luggage and ending up with items that you aren't going to actively use. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Soumya and I'm the founder of Mom to Mom. If you do like this video, I'd love it if you could subscribe so that you can become a part of my YouTube family. Great. And with that, let's get started. Now, when you are planning for labor and delivery, you're essentially looking at about a 2 to 3 day stay in the hospital. And this really varies depending on whether you end up having a vaginal delivery or a C-section. We're slowly coming out of the pandemic rules. So if I'm not mistaken, it's about 2 days in the hospital with a vaginal delivery and about 3 days if it's a C-section. And keep in mind, the number of days that I'm really referring to here are after you deliver your baby and not from the time that you enter the hospital, say to get induced, for instance. And that might extend your stay just by a little bit more, so just plan accordingly. Now, tip number one for you when you prepare for labor and delivery and as you pack your hospital bag is to please do this ahead of time. I cannot stress this enough. You could go into labor anytime after like the 36th or 37th week, and so you do not want to be leaving this very important task towards the fag end. So my big tip is really, to pack this anywhere between your 30th and your 35th week. Really during your nesting period, as you start to think about setting up your nursery, as you start to think about what you want to actually carry with you along to the hospital. And this can really be a staggered approach, so you don't really need to do it all at once. As you start to think about the items that you need for the hospital, you can slowly start to layer them into the bag, and then before you know it, you will have a well-packed hospital bag and without all the stress of having to put all those items in and get to the hospital. Now, I packed my hospital bag as well as the baby's bag. I was allowed a partner at the time. I was allowed one person in the hospital at the time. Thank God for that. So my husband was able to join me during my labor and delivery, and he packed his own hospital bag. Now, in terms of hospital bag packing, I planned for about 2 days stay in the hospital, but I also did plan to pack a little. I also packed a little extra, just in case the doctor told me that I would need to have a C-section for whatever reason, and then that would potentially extend my stay for a little longer. So, if you have a medical condition that you're aware of that might require you to stay in the hospital for a little longer, please plan to pack accordingly. So the items that I'm going to go over with you are in no particular order, but what I did was sort of categorize them into 5 broad areas, just because that just made it easier for me when I was packing my items, and I'm hoping that that makes it easy for you as well. So the broad categories are, toiletries, there's postpartum, there's nursing, there's clothing, and then there's just other miscellaneous items that I wanted to make sure that I took along with me. And I've linked all of these items down below as well, so please make sure to check them out in case you're interested in getting any of them. To take them with you in the hospital. Okay, so let's start with the hospital bag itself. This one is from Low & Sons. It's a nice weekender tote bag. I've used this for a few trips as well, a few weekend trips, which kind of spanned anywhere between 2 to 4 days. So that's really kind of a perfect hospital bag to take along with you because it's the same amount of time, right? And this one is from Low & Sons. It's a woman-owned business. This comes in a lot of different colors. What I like about this is that it's pretty spacious inside, so it can actually accommodate a bunch of items that you need for the hospital. It also comes with good compartment space as well. And then there's some space that you have outside on both sides. And what I also like about this bag is that it has a nice space right at the bottom for you to be able to pack footwear or any other essentials down below. So this one's a good bag. I highly recommend. It comes in a bunch of different colors as well, and pretty affordable, so I quite like this. I've linked this down below. Cool. So now that I've covered the bag, I want to then touch on the first category, which is toiletries. So this one is pretty basic, right? The one thing that I did make sure to do was pack all my toiletries, which are really sort of travel sized bottles, all in one bag, just to make it just easily accessible. So it's just one small pouch, where you can easily access all of your items in one go. And it's pretty simple. So I just have my face moisturizer. I have my face wash, sorry, my skin moisturizer. I have a shampoo and conditioner along with me, as well as a body lotion. And then I also took along with me my toothbrush and my toothpaste. So that's obviously a very essential item. You need to be taking that along with you. But yeah, you also get these, travel size containers from any of the drugstores, so Walgreens, CVS, etc. Easily accessible and super helpful in terms of packing some of these liquids when you're just heading out for like a 2-3 day stay. So that's on some of these liquids. And in addition to that, I also packed just a simple comb to brush my hair. And then I also took along, some lip balm, which is always great. And then I also took along with me my clutch, as well as, a few hair ties. Now, I definitely prefer the hair ties over the clutch, just because it's easy to get your hair off your face, when you're actively pushing and you're wearing a hair tie versus a clutch. And then the other plus of this is that it helps you kind of rest your back on the bed as well when you are lying down, versus the clutch, which would make it a little difficult to do that, and it will hurt your head. So this one is you should definitely plan to take a few of these, super helpful. And in addition to that, I took my glasses. So I wear glasses and contact lenses. I chose not to carry my contact lenses during my stay, but I definitely needed my glasses, so I took that along with me. And then I also wanted to touch on makeup for a quick second. Now, I know this is a pretty debatable topic, and some moms feel strongly about taking makeup along, and some moms don't want to carry makeup. The honest thing is, I don't have a strong opinion on this. It's really, I think, a matter of what you feel comfortable doing. So you do you. If you feel that, this would make you feel great, just before you get into that pushing stage or that stage of active labor, and you want to do that light touch up, go right ahead. I personally wasn't ready to put on makeup during that time, and so I chose not to carry it along with me. But, every mom is different, and at that point in time, you should just do whatever feels right for you. The one recommendation, though, that I have on makeup is, it's always helpful, as you think about traveling light, to pack items that can double up as a 2-in-1. So, for instance, some lip color that can also double up as a blush might be a great idea. I wanted to just show this stackable makeup kit that I purchased from Subtle Beauty, another woman-owned business. But this one I thought was pretty great. It's like a nice travel size pack, and you can choose to like stack up all the items that you want. You can choose to customize it. I've linked their website as well. And so what I have here is, it's pretty simple. So you just kind of roll this out. You have a bronzer right here, and then there's a lip and cheek, and then you also have a concealer. So it's super simple. It's a stackable kit, and it's just easy to take along with you wherever you go when you're traveling. So definitely recommend this or items similar to this. So that's on toiletries. The next thing that I wanted to touch on was now postpartum essentials. Obviously, you do want to carry a few of this, and some of this you will maintain even once you return home and through your postpartum recovery timeframe. But I did want to cover some of these items with you. So the first one that I wanted to touch on is the Always Discreet Boutique underwear. Now this one is a pack of 10 that you typically get from Always, and it's a great set of disposable underwear that I highly recommend. Great for you to carry about 2 to 3 of these during your stay in the hospital. I personally did not really like the ones that the hospital provided. I did not like the pads that they provided as well, and so highly recommend this disposable underwear. Super convenient. I used it right through my postpartum recovery, so like easily about 2 to 3 weeks is how long I used it, and I absolutely loved it. So highly recommend the Always Discreet Boutique underwear. In addition to that, I also purchased these poise pads. So this one I thought was pretty good. You could either choose to just wear your always underwear, or you could choose to layer these pads on the underwear and then just use them for longer, right? So you can choose to opt for either way. It's just that if you don't choose to use this, then you will end up taking more underwear along with you to the hospital. So I found it useful to carry a few of these, easily. I think about, if you're staying for about 2 days, I think easily taking about 8 of these is, more than enough. They last pretty long as well. So it's really great. And I'm also going to be doing a video on postpartum recovery. So make sure to check that out. I won't cover that in too much detail here. But yeah, great to carry these pads as well along with you. In addition to that, I also carried, these Tux cooling pads. Now these are medicated cooling pads, and it's a nice effect, especially after you deliver. Your vaginal area tends to hurt a little bit as well, and sometimes you experience a burning sensation. Now every mom might sort of experience a slightly different feeling, but what this does really is, it's just something for you to layer onto the pad, and then you just wear it, and it's a great cooling effect that you get. So highly recommend this one that I purchased. And then in addition to that, I also got this Thermoplast relieving spray. Now it's a pain, burn, and itch relieving spray. Now, interestingly, I seem to find it challenging to actually buy this before heading to the hospital. Somehow every drugstore did not have this in stock. I don't know why. I don't know, it's like there was a high demand at that point in time, but I wasn't able to secure this just before heading to the hospital. But the one good thing is that the hospital will order this for you. So a few of these postpartum supplies is, the hospital is just going to get this for you. So you don't have to worry if you're not able to find this before you head to the hospital. They'll make sure to order this for you. The other one I want to cover, and this is a great one, this is the Frida Mom Down There washer. So I'm just going to pull this out. Yeah, so this is it's like a bottle, and then it has like this nice tube with a tilt. And why I highly recommend this is the hospital will give you this. You're essentially going to be using this to spray water down there, after you deliver, because you can't be really using tissues at that point in time, and so it just might be easier to use this bottle. And why I like this is that it has a nice tilt, so you're not really lifting your leg or standing in a weird angle when you try to pour water there. This one just does that for you, whereas the one in the hospital, it's a pretty straight tube, so they don't really have this tilt, so that just makes it a little inconvenient. So I found this pretty useful, and highly recommend getting this as well. Now, the next thing that I wanted to touch on was nursing supplies. So I will start with these Stay Dry nursing pads by Lancino. Highly recommend them. And you can just plan to carry a few of them for your stay. Don't plan to carry too much, because for the 2 to 3 day stay that you're in the hospital, this one lasts pretty long. So you can easily wear this for about half a day, and then you can choose to change into another pair of these pads for the rest of the evening and the night. Like, it locks odor, it lasts pretty long, so definitely don't recommend carrying too many. And this is the box, if you want to just take a look at this. It's great for you to kind of hold on to like this bigger pack just during your entire breastfeeding journey if you do plan to breastfeed. So this one is pretty useful, and I just carried a few of them to the hospital. In addition to that, I also wanted to touch on this nice breastfeeding pillow. So it's from My Breast Friend, and I will link this as well below. But it's something that you just strap on when you try to breastfeed or nurse your child. At that point in time, as a new mom, you're kind of struggling with holding your baby. You're trying to figure out how breastfeeding works, and as a result of that, it might just make the whole process very challenging. And this tries to mitigate that a bit. So it makes it a little more convenient because you can like rest your baby here, so you're not taking the effort of actually holding while also trying to breastfeed. So I really like this. And then in addition to that, I also wanted to cover some of the nursing bras that I took along with me. So this one's by Motherhood Maternity. It's a nice nursing bra, pretty sweet. And this one is a black nursing bra that I purchased, but you get this in many different colors as well. What I like about this is that it just makes it so easy to nurse. It stays on pretty well on your body. It's a nice fit. If you do want to nurse as well, you just pull this buckle out, just nurse, and then you can place this back on. So super simple and super convenient to use. Highly recommend. In addition to that, I also got some of these simple cotton nursing bras as well from Motherhood Maternity. I really like their brand. It's just I found it to be pretty affordable, and they seem to have really good maternity wear. What I like about these is that it again comes in many different colors, and if you do want to nurse, you just really pull this down and then you can easily nurse your child. So again, super convenient, comes in many different colors. As you can see, I got quite a few of them and highly recommend. In terms of other nursing supplies, I don't have this with me, but as you can see here in the image, I do want to recommend this Mother Love Nipple Cream. Now this one is something I used throughout my breastfeeding journey and found it to be super helpful. It's doctor recommended as well, and I know a few moms as well who use this and found this to be pretty great. So this one is a nice nipple cream. It soothes your nipples after breastfeeding, and prevents any sort of soreness. So I found this to be pretty great, and it's something that you could potentially take along with you, if you were to immediately start breastfeeding your baby. So that's on the nipple cream. And in addition to that, I also wanted to touch on breast pumps. Now, if you do decide that you want to actively pump at the hospital, you can choose to either carry your own breast pump, or you may be able to leverage the hospital grade breast pumps that may be available at your hospital. So just make sure to check with them, if that's something that you intend on actively using during your stay there. I chose to directly breastfeed, so I didn't really carry my breast pump along with me, but I did pump once I got back home. So that's one thing that I wanted to touch on. Okay, so that's the nursing. And now the other thing that I wanted to get to was the next category, which is on clothing. Now this is an area where I know we can go really wrong and end up packing too many items that we probably don't need or aren't going to use at the hospital. But I did want to share a few items that I packed and found to be useful. So one of the items that I carried was this nice summery dress that I again got from Motherhood Maternity. Surprise, surprise. I really like their brand and seem to end up finding a lot of good stuff there during my pregnancy journey. So I ended up getting this nice summery dress from Motherhood Maternity. Again, this can be used as a nursing gown because this easily opens up the front. You can easily nurse and then put this back on. So super simple. And in addition to that, this also doubles up as a labor gown. Now, I think again there are some mixed opinions on this in terms of whether you want to use your own gown when you are in active labor versus using the hospital gown. My personal recommendation to also pack light is to just use the hospital gown, because anyway, it's going to get a little messy when you do end up going into labor, irrespective of whether it's a vaginal delivery or a C-section. And so, you don't want to be using your nice gown. After your delivery, you could easily kind of slip into your gown once you're cleaned up. So, that's like a great way to pack light and not have to carry too much stuff. But yeah, I wasn't sure at the time, and so which is why I ended up buying this kind of all-in-one, which is a nice dress you can use even otherwise, even if you're not pregnant. But then when you do go into labor, this also kind of opens up at the back. If they do need to give you any medication like an epidural, for instance, and even opens up at the front in case they need to operate. So this one I thought was a nice gown, and I got a similar one in black. For some reason, I kind of preferred wearing, dresses or gowns at the hospital versus really wearing joggers or anything of that sort. I just found it to be more comfortable. But I did pack PJs, just in case. So, and even if you are packing PJs, just make sure like pack a shirt style a top, just because that just makes it easier to open if you are nursing. The other thing that I did end up taking along with me as well was this nice robe. I'm going to show this to you. Yeah, this one's from Baby Be Mine. It's pretty cute, but it's a nice robe, that you can easily tie over here as well, tie around your waist. And this I found to be especially useful because I could actually use this for a longer period. I didn't need too much clothing with me. I could easily just put this around, and whenever I wanted to nurse my baby, I just had to slightly open this and I could nurse my baby. So this was super convenient for me. And as a result of it, I didn't have to, take too much clothing or use too much clothing with me. So I did end up packing a few more clothes than I needed for sure, which is why I highly recommend just sticking to like these 3-4 pieces of clothing. You should definitely be fine. Now, in addition to clothing, I also wanted to touch on, footwear. So if you want, you can choose to like take a pair of socks as well with you, just to keep yourself warm during your stay there. But highly recommend some of these slip-ons. Like, they're super convenient, just to have something of your own to wear into, like, or slip into when you're at the hospital, as you start to walk around, or even before you go into labor. So this one I found to be pretty convenient. And now for the final category, these are just miscellaneous items that I chose to carry along with me, and you can decide what's best for you. So one thing that I got along with me was a water bottle, something to just easily sip on, when you're at the hospital and when you're resting in bed. So that's one of the items that I recommend as well. In addition, I also carried, my charger, my phone, as well as my AirPods, just to stay in touch with family, or even just to listen to something soothing, as you start to prepare for labor. So that's something that I highly recommend. Like, listen to something, be it music or a talk or anything that just makes you feel more positive and energized. I highly recommend that. In addition to that, I did not end up carrying this, but it's something that you could consider if you want, but it could potentially just make your luggage a little more heavy, which is, bedding and pillows. The one thing is, I highly recommend this for your partner who's going to be staying along with you at the hospital, just because, they will end up sleeping on a couch that converts into a bed, and that can get pretty uncomfortable. So it's great for them to carry some bedding, pillows, and a nice blanket, so they feel comfortable. But if you have that preference as well on the hospital bed, that you want your own warm blankets or bedding, you can choose to carry that along. It's just that might add to the weight, so just keep that in mind. But otherwise, the one thing that you could do to feel comfortable is use the pregnancy pillow, and I've linked that as well below. But that is super convenient, just because I used that throughout my pregnancy journey, as my belly started to get heavier, and that just felt so comfortable to just rest my head against and my body against even. So that's something you could consider taking to the hospital along with you, and just place that around your bed, your hospital bed, just to get you more comfortable. Okay, and with that, I have covered all the items that I took along with me to the hospital. Now we will move over to baby's bag. Okay, so in terms of baby supplies, the first thing that I do want to call out is the infant car seat. Now, you need to make sure that you have this installed and set up in your car, before you get to the hospital, because they will not let you leave without that car seat. So just make sure to have that installed well ahead of time, so you're not stressing out at the last minute trying to get that fitted. And then in terms of what I actually packed in the bag, I want to touch on the bag itself. Now, this one is a nice diaper bag from La Mar, and I'm going to be doing a what's in my diaper bag video at some point, so make sure to check that out. This one is a pretty nice spacious diaper bag as well, that fits all the essentials for the baby. In terms of what I actually packed and carried along with me, the one thing that we carried along was some swaddle blankets. So once you deliver your child, this is just a nice cottony, cozy blanket just to wrap your baby around. So we got a few of these. Lots of cute colors, obviously, for babies, but these blankets are super useful just to either hold your baby or even place them in the hospital bassinet, or even hand them over to a visitor, if they were to come and see. This one is pretty useful. In addition to that, we also got some burp cloths or washcloths along with us. We didn't really need too much at this point. The one thing I do want to stress on is, in terms of baby supplies, the hospital is pretty good with that, so they also have like these swaddle blankets at the hospital. They also have, sufficient diapers, they have sufficient baby wipes, they have all of that. So don't worry about packing too much of that. Yeah, so we got these washcloths as well, which is pretty good. In addition to that, you could also choose to pack, mittens and socks as well, just depending on the weather. But I say irrespective, just I think good to kind of pack that initially, because the baby is entering into a new environment. And then, maybe just a cap as well. And then in addition to that, we packed a few of these onesies. Again, you don't need to pack too much. You could pack like 2 to 3 of these. I think that should be just more than enough, like during your stay there. We packed these, and this one is by Little Sleepies. It's really cute. They come in beautiful designs, but we packed this one for our baby. And what I like about this is that it's a nice onesie that easily converts into a mitten as well at the hand, like if you want to do that. Or you can just open this up, and the same goes for the leg as well. It converts into a nice booty over here. If you were to do that for your baby and cover their feet, or this can just open up. So that's why I got this. I thought it was pretty smart. And you could just pack a few of these, right? But otherwise, you also get a lot of these at Carter's, and so that's a great place to kind of get nice onesies for your child. Yeah, but I think otherwise this is pretty straightforward. I did end up packing, diapers. I ended up packing wipes. And so that's the part that I want to touch on right now in terms of like the items not required. Like after having been through this process, you absolutely don't need to be packing all of these, you don't need to be packing diapers at all, in fact, from what I realized, because the hospital has a ton of them stocked. Obviously, they're doing this day in and day out, and so many babies are being delivered, so they have like sufficient supply. What they also have is enough and more baby wipes, which they will give you. So that's not something that you really need to be packing and taking along with you. If you do feel strongly about it, maybe you can pack a few diapers just to be on the safe side, but otherwise you really don't need them. The hospital also, more likely than not, would give you a few supplies for you to take back along with you. So you're even sorted when you're sort of going back home. Just make sure that you have these stocked at home once you're back. That's all. And then in terms of postpartum as well, I touched on the pads. Again, I'm stressing, like, you don't need to carry too many of these pads along with you. Just carrying them enough for like a 3-day stay, maybe, I think is a good estimate for you to take pads for. And then you don't really need more. Like, I ended up taking like the whole pack along with me, and that was just a waste of space. I really did not need to be taking as much. And then the other piece is really too much clothing, which I think I touched on. It's so easy to end up packing a bunch of different clothes, just not knowing what you're going to wear. But, just packing 2 of each, maybe in case you're unsure, might be a good idea. So like PJs, a couple of PJs, as well as like a couple of gowns or dresses, like I think might be the right way to go. And then I think you should definitely be sorted. Okay, so I think I have gone over all the items that I carried with me to the hospital. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe so this can reach more moms in need of such pointers. Stay tuned. I will be sharing more videos very soon. Until then, sending so much love and warmth to all you.